Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Andrea here on Monday afternoon. Today is going to be a video on how to heal Lyme disease, part 17, reactive hypoglycemia, and how to control it. So we'll start with what reactive hypoglycemia is. Excuse me. So it's a little different than hypoglycemia by itself, which is where your blood sugars drop when you're fasting. Reactive hypoglycemia is what I have, which is completely different. It is due to a reaction to carbohydrate foods that then make the pancreas overproduce too much insulin, put it to a really high insulin level, and it gets so high in your body that your pancreas is putting out insulin, the carbs are putting more insulin, that it reaches this peak and then severely drops. And so then you get reactive hypoglycemia, which can be life-threatening. You get seizures, coma states, which I've had 4 coma states, short period lived ones, like 4 hours each. I've had tons and tons of seizures for like 2 years. And then you can also go into a coma. It is under diabetes. You can have reactive hypoglycemia with diabetes and without diabetes. Mine is without diabetes. So it's a little bit confusing, but that's kind of the lowdown on what it is. So when I got Lyme disease, I think it was 2 to 3 years in, I started getting seizures for 2 years because I had neuro-Lyme, stage 4 Lyme. So it did hit my brain, and it did cause me to have a bunch of seizures and memory loss and confusion and brain fog and everything else. So I did have all that, and I do believe that Lyme disease is what caused, having the neuro-Lyme is what caused everything to kind of be faulty in my brain to have the seizures. And so I believe that's part of it. But also the other part of it was that, which I only got since I got Lyme disease too, where I'd eat the carbohydrate, my pancreas would overreact. It's like an autoimmune disease, I guess. Overactive immune system. And my pancreas would put out too much insulin, and then the carbs would drive it up, and then severe low, and then I'd have all these seizures. So for years and years, I was going to neurologists, and they just kept telling me, you're epileptic. They took away my driver's license. I couldn't drive for 6 months. I had to be seizure-free for 6 months before I could get it back. They just didn't know, like it suddenly came on. It was just an onset out of nowhere. And it wasn't until I went to the Vancouver Women's General Hospital, they had a Lyme clinic there. It was a chronic pain clinic that me and my daughter went to as a family. And we waited 2 years on the list to get in, but once we got in, it was great. Got to see a whole bunch of different doctors, and they specialized also in kind of acknowledged Lyme disease, so that was great. And it wasn't until I went there till I met a naturopath, and I told him all my symptoms, and I told him when I was having seizures, and he just put 2 and 2 together that it was after carbohydrated meals. And it's after you eat, actually, and then the seizures can, come on right away. Well, for me, when I was in a chronic pain class, I had 8 seizures one day, and I went to the Richmond General Hospital emergency. I had my 8th one there, but I had 7 in my chronic pain class, which was really embarrassing. And I had eaten, I think it was cereal for breakfast, some kind of carby thing. Not really sugary, but, somewhat. Like cinnamon crunch or something. And 4 hours later, when I went to the meeting, I actually ended up having like these 7 seizures. But it was at the same time that I was having like a glass of water because I felt weird and I felt like, uh-oh, something's wrong. and I had a glass of water, and I had like a cheese croissant kind of thing, a biscuit, which again was a carb, and I was trying to eat it, but I couldn't barely eat it, and I went into all these seizures. So that's probably the worst thing that I could have had at that time, was another carbohydrate, but I didn't know, and so, I had all those seizures that day. Now, it was probably from my breakfast, because it usually comes on like hours after, but it could have been because I was starting to feel like I was going to have one anyways, and then I was trying to, eat. I wasn't feeling well before, so I got something to eat, and then I was feeling weird, and I was trying to eat at the same time I was feeling weird, but I was already going into seizures at that time, so it was too late to have any water or any kind of biscuit at that time. So it was probably due to the breakfast I'd had before, and then feeling all the effects and thinking, oh, I need to eat or drink, and then of course shoving another carb down my throat. Not a good idea. So if you have Lyme disease, if you have seizures, if you have coma state where you can't kind of talk or respond or move for 4 hours and then it goes away, if you have anything like this, I would definitely, even if you have seizures, like, look into reactive hypoglycemia and research it and see if it's a possibility you have this, because this is what I had. And once I figured out what I had, you eat small meals all the time, you stick to a lot of fiber and proteins to balance your sugars, and then if your sugars, mine sometimes even with that, my sugar sometimes will still hit a low. Maybe because I'm not really eating any sugar, I don't know, because I'm cutting it out, and I'm trying to balance my sugars, and sometimes I feel really low and like I'm gonna have a seizure. I'm like, oh God, I need sugar, and then I will have glucose pills. If I feel a seizure coming on, I can take 1 to 4 glucose pills. 4 is the max that you can take. I do have a meter. I do test my blood and make sure that it's okay and monitor my blood on a daily basis. Lately with the hot weather, for some reason, my blood pressure is dropping, my blood sugars are dropping too, especially with exercise and stuff. So I do have to check my my blood more regularly right now at this time. But I just wanted to do a video on that. That's how you take care of it, the glucose pills, the small portion meals a day, lots of protein, lots of fiber. And I just wanted to let everybody know that if you are having seizures or anything like this, please check into reactive hypoglycemia. Research it, check it out, talk to your doctor about it, monitor yourself. If when you eat a carb, is that when you feel weird? Is that when you have seizures? Check it out. It's really interesting. And no one could figure it out for me, and then finally a naturopath did, so that was great news. I'm very thankful to him for that, because he helped me a lot. Now I am actually seizure free. I do not have seizures at all anymore, and I have it under control. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. So I will see you next Monday for my next video. Take care, guys. Bye.